Welcome to Behind Brand Lines, everyone. You joined with me, Adil and
Chancey.
And we are at Array 30A. So many of you guys have asked us about what Array 30A is, and we're going to give you some insight today on what it is, but more importantly, what we've learned from some amazing boutique owners here. We are actually in this area called 30A in Florida, and what's really cool about it is there's just a row of towns, beach towns, along this highway called 30A. And so that's why it's just called 30A as a region. But what makes this market, and yes, it is a market now, so unique is that a bunch of brands have come together and have invited some of the 30 plus top live sellers in the country to come and showcase our products to their communities and their followings. And we are so inspired and so in awe with how amazing these boutique owners are, because they've built these huge followings just to sell product. And not only that, but they have like just these groups of women that love them and adore them. And what we've started to see is like why they love them and what works for them and what can potentially work for you. What have you learned this week?
Well, I've learned that some of these live sellers are literally superstars.
Yes.
I mean, they just go above and beyond, and they have a one-track mindset on how to sell and how to do it amazing. They blow it out of the park. I mean, they're all just genuine human beings.
Yeah.
I feel like just being genuine and true to yourself and showing their viewers that they see that and they trust them and they love them and they just build amazing followings.
Yeah, I love what you said, because there's like a lot of these women have like 200, 300, 400,000 followers. And then you talk to them, they're just like normal people.
They're literally just normal.
Yeah.
They're so like chill and, like I said, genuine. So nice. Just some of the nicest people I've ever met are some of these buyers. And I'm so happy to work with them and kind of be their friend.
Yeah. And so what we thought, and Chancey and I kind of got together, this is the Behind Brand Lines show now. And so whether you're listening on podcasts or YouTube channel or in our group, which is why we're doing this, guys. If you're in the Facebook group, you're probably going to be engaged on this a lot. But we wanted to give you guys some insight on what we have learned from these top live sellers. And so today we're just going to be going through some of the big lessons these huge nuggets. And so hope you have a pen and paper and just taking a bunch of notes, because these are gems that'll really scale your business. Chancey, you probably have a really good one.
Okay, so you know what I've noticed is I've seen some of these buyers, they get our products for their live sales and then they rephotograph all of the photos. They don't use any of our photos because their viewers love to see the product on their body. Because when they are selling that product to their viewers, they want to see how it fits them. They trust them, and they've built that loyalty and trust with their viewers, and they just want to see it on them. And it really, it makes a huge difference, I feel like, because I've seen other people where they just use our photos, which is fine because we have amazing photos.
Yeah.
But whenever the actual live seller wears them, it just makes a huge difference.
I never realized that's why they do that, is because they really want to see it on the person they're following. Yeah. But that makes total sense, right? That's they follow you and they want to see what it looks like on you.
Yeah.
Right? And not what a vendor photo looks like. And so, that makes so much sense. I didn't think about that. One thing I personally learned was like how bold everyone is and how you have to channel that. Yeah. It's not just something that like everyone's just born that way. Some of these live sellers are actually really introverted. And, but whenever the camera turns on, they just go bold. And then they realize that they can't showcase any level of uncertainty when they're selling, because people see right through that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was something that was really amazing to see, is like they have to have that like very positive, very confident switch turned on, and at any point if they show uncertainty, then like the piece won't sell. So being bold really matters. And you see some of the boldest things happening where people are just changing in front of the camera, saying the craziest things. But that's what people want. Like, is they want to be inspired by someone very confident, very bold, because, even if they get 10% of your boldness, that's still 10% bolder than they were yesterday.
Okay, so another thing that I have really noticed is the consistency that these live sellers have, you guys. I mean, they are so stinking consistent. I mean, they have it down to a science. And honestly, I feel like the more content you make is better, and that's what some of them are doing. I've noticed they have it just planned out to a literal T on their lives. They're just trying to keep the
Well, no, I know what you're saying. Like they're sticking to a schedule, right? They make the schedule and they stick to it. And it's almost like going to the gym. You won't see the progress unless you're in a routine and you're doing it regularly. You won't see, or sticking to a diet. You won't see the progress unless you do it consistently. And they treat their lives with such discipline that rain or shine, they're going to go live.
Oh yes.
Right?
They really do. It really is just like any like thing that you're doing constantly in your life. It's just like the work part of it. So they really keep their consistency, and it is just so fascinating to see them grow so fast. I mean, I remember we were talking about one live seller, and within a year of their consistent lives, it was just insane. It's like you can just see the progress. And not only just like with their lives, but their content, just being consistent with their customers, just never missing a beat. And obviously we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. It's inevitable, but the consistency is key.
Yeah. And I think my big feedback to any boutique owner who's not going live and is contemplating starting lives is like, don't focus on where the big live sellers are right now and how you're going to get there, because that's going to seem like this huge mountain to climb. Think about what you're going to do today and then tomorrow and then the day after. And then of just like consistently showing up, that's where the progress will be happening, right? And so we were talking about it before we started recording, is like even people like Jimmy Fallon and Jay Leno, like they didn't have millions of followers day one, but they showed up every single day.
Yeah, they did. I feel like another thing is just be creative. Have you seen some of these creative backdrops? Like honestly, just their creativity that goes into these lives. I mean, yes, they are being consistent, but they're mixing it up and making it so interesting. And that's what your viewers are wanting. They want to be drawn into these lives. They're going to fall in love with you and your personality. And they love like just anything fun, like fun backdrops, just bringing all the vibes and props.
Well, you're so right. Like being consistent also means that you won't have it perfect. And so you have to get creative with your environments. A lot of these ladies, they'll go live in a closet from their Airbnb, or they'll go live in the middle of a kitchen, or they'll go live from a vendor booth. They'll think of stuff right on the spot, and they'll just say, okay, I'll make this work. And then they feed into it. So, but they never lose consistency. One big thing that I noticed with these live sellers is they focus less on the products and more on educating and entertaining. So they see their lives as shows, and literally they're live shows, right? So they are thinking, how do I keep people engaged? How do I get people to be watching the entire time? Because if I just hyper focus on just selling product and saying, here's this shirt, what do you guys think? Or I put it on, I tried it on. Oh, y'all, this looks super cute, this and that. No, they really talk about how to style it. They do a front tuck, or they'll show like how there's coverage in the back. And then they start talking about things that there may not even be necessarily selling. They're like, oh, you could even get such and such thing from Amazon to go with this and stuff. They have no benefit of that. But that's the genuine touch, right? Where they're saying like, no, I'm here because I care about you. You can buy this top that I'm showing you, and I would love if you supported me, but I'd love to connect with you. And part of that is the entertainment aspect and the education aspect. They also talk about trends more than you would ever realize. Like they'll say, oh, y'all, this is really trending right now. And these women start to trust these live sellers, because they realize like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to be ahead on trends because I listened to so-and-so, or I watched so-and-so's lives. And that's the educational aspect that it was just amazing that how these live sellers embrace that role.
You know, another thing that I was thinking about is a lot of people probably think that live selling is like a whole production. Like this, it's like you're filming a movie, but it's not. It's really not that hard because you don't need a whole lot to start live selling. You really just need a good ring light. You got to have a phone stand. And then you need a platform to use. I mean, you have Shopify, you have Comments Sold, you have all these amazing platforms to use to stream your lives across all your platforms. I mean, you can stream it on Instagram, you can stream it on Facebook, and obviously if you have an app or your website as well. But it's really not as scary or intimidating as I feel like sometimes it can be. And it's just such a simple process. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think keeping things simple is the mantra in going live. I often talk to boutiques and they want everything absolutely perfect. They'll say, oh, I wish the app had this one feature, and then they start working with the developer on that feature, and they'll pay all this money before they even launch their lives. And you just have to start.
Yeah.
You just start somewhere, and then you make the adjustments that you actually need. Most of the boutiques that are doing insane numbers that, I mean, I just still am awe with how they sell, how many people tune in. They just have a really out of the box system. Like they just get a regular phone stand, just their iPhone, and then one ring light, and then they go at it. And then they just focus on connecting with their viewers. That's the only focus they have, is how do I connect with my viewers? And they don't think about like, oh, if I had such and such light, or if I had such and such mic, or this type of backdrop. It really doesn't matter about that. Like just go live and connect. People want to buy from people.
They just want to feel connected to you in a way. Because what's crazy is, we were talking about this the other day, it's like some of these live sellers feel like a superstar in our heads, and then we meet them in person and it's just, they're so genuine, like we were saying. And it's like, to me, I felt like they were a superstar. So I know their customers feel the exact same way. And it's like, they're not using big backdrops every time, you know, you don't need all the things.
Yeah. Well, and we happen to have this backdrop set up. So if you're watching it, but this is for work. And so we're just like, hey, you know what? We got to record an episode. Let's make sure just do it. I mean, we could have just had any excuse in the book not to record here, but we didn't let that get to us. We're going to record. One thing I will say that I was like amazed with is how people leverage their super fans. And so when people start to build a following, and there's like those early adopters of what you're doing. So let's say if I'm talking to you and you're thinking about starting a Facebook group or starting to do lives, there's going to be people early on that just love you. They start to adore you, and those are your super fans. You need to leverage their love for you, and not in a I'm going to use you way. They want to see you succeed.
Yeah.
And so what they're often doing is like, they want to be acknowledged by you. And a very simple thing is you ask them to share whenever you are live, share it to their personal Instagrams, their Facebooks, their stories, however you're asking them to share it on their social platforms. They do that. And then they comment back saying shared, shout out their name.
Yeah.
Dale Carnegie said it. He said that the sweetest sound to anyone in any language is the sound of their own name. And so when you say someone's name and you shout them out, they feel heard, they feel acknowledged. And that in itself is so powerful. And that's how you could build this, like that connection thing that we keep talking about, is like connecting with people matters. And when you say their name, that's the most personal thing there.
It's so simple, but it's so true though. It really is. Like I personally, if I join someone's live and I say hi and they say my name, I just feel immediate, just like a little warm hug. It's so sweet and it's so genuine and it works. I mean, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I gotta do a caveat here, because you often think that something, this is very normal. When you start recording or going live, you feel a sense of cringe, and that is a normal feeling. But I want everyone to know that you should never expect your friends and family to be the ones to be your super fans. They won't do it, and that's okay. Yeah. Because it's the strangers on the internet that want to love you and support you and stuff, and that is okay too. So tamper your expectations, right? Like you don't want to think that, oh, my best friend's going to share it on her live. She may do it once or twice, but then there's going to be Mary Jo in North Carolina that's going to share it 100 times, right? Because she just loves you, and she may never even meet you in person. So that's the beautiful thing about the communities that get built online.
So giveaways, everybody loves a good giveaway. I feel like I'm so passionate about this one. Like this topic I've been thinking about for a minute because I just love it. Everybody loves free stuff. I know, but there's kind of different ways to go about it, I feel like. And it really, it just grows your live viewers, and so whether you are doing giveaways to where you're just kind of getting gift cards, or you're doing small little gifts for your viewers on a live, there's a lot of little different ways you can go about it. But my favorite way to go about it is to build your engagement. So I love to do like comment where you live, comment where are you going on vacation for spring break if you're doing a live, during a certain season, just like little things to ask them about their personal lives. And it just brings a little bit more familiarity.
Yeah.
Familiarity. I can't say it. It brings a personal aspect in, and it just brings the closeness from the viewer to the live seller. And it just, everybody loves to talk about themselves. At the end of the day, my mom always told me that. She said, if you're ever like in a rut and you feel awkward talking to someone, ask them questions about themselves, because it just lightens the conversation. So if you do that in a live, you got to think about it like that. So bringing that engagement and getting them to comment and do things like that, and then giving little giveaways for someone that is super engaged and just absolutely, adores you in the live, is kind of different ways to go about it.
Is this why you always ask me questions, so that I just talk about myself? Probably.
No.
Now I've figured you out.
No, see, my mom told me this as a young child, so now it's like kind of stuck with me forever. But it is like it's
great advice. Yeah.
If you're ever awkward in a situation and you socially awkward, like I said, a lot of these like buyers are introverts at heart. I am an introvert at heart, but it doesn't seem like I'm an introvert, because you can kind of, it's 50-50.
That really, and awkwardly, like that's like what leads me to one other idea, is like going live needs to be part of your boutique's DNA. Like It cannot be this half-assed thing that you do, that you say, oh, I'm consistent, and you really like going live once a week, and it doesn't work that way. Like you need it to be part of your DNA. And so part of building that genuine connection with people is that you have to know that they're now following you on Instagram, even though they're watching you live on your app or through Facebook and stuff. Now they want to follow you as a person. And so you, on your Instagram, you need to be promoting it on your, I've seen these boutique owners promote on their Snapchat, right? Like we talked about that this morning. Like there's people even on their Snapchat saying, tune in for my live on my app. And so, but people, when they like someone, they follow them on all their platforms, and treat each platform as its own way of showing it. So your TikToks may be a different way of promoting your live than your Instagram. So if your Instagram is like super aesthetic based, then do that, but promote your live still.
Yeah.
And then if you're on TikTok, keep it raw, keep it behind the scenes, promote your live. And when you show all the different places that you are present, and you're promoting these lives, it really makes a huge difference. I know that like you need to think about it multiple times a day, and it's going to feel obsessive, but it works. Just trust me. Especially
the behind the scenes. Everybody loves to see what's going on, because sometimes they don't get to see all of the things that go into it, and it actually can be kind of interesting for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think just making sure you are covering all platforms is really smart.
Yeah. You got a good one next.
You may be thinking that you are creating too much content, but at the end of the day, there's never enough content. You really can't ever create too much. I mean, I know you might be thinking, well, posting maybe 10 times a day might be too much, but if you are posting 10 times a day and you're posting on all those different platforms, you got to think it's spread out. So like he said, Snapchat, you're posting on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, all of these different platforms, you're not posting too much because some people might not follow every single one, or you might get new followers on one platform. You just never know. So you always need to be consistent with your content, but then don't ever feel like you're posting too much. You're not bothering people by posting too much. I used to feel like that in our Facebook group when I would go live and I would post, and I was like, man, I posted like 2 or 3 times today. And I know 2 and 3 doesn't sound like a lot, but for me, in a moment, it felt like maybe I am posting too much. But I was like, no, I'm not. I was like, I'm giving them what they want, and I'm helping them figure out what they need for Christmas, figuring out what sizes to buy, like everything. I was helping them. So don't feel guilty for posting too much, because it's actually a good thing.
Yeah, one of my really good friends, she has a huge following. She's about 500,000 followers on Instagram. And I asked her something similar about like, well, you know, our TikToks sometimes only get 200 views. And she's like, yeah, let's pull it up. And so she would look at the last like 10 videos. She said, are you thinking these are the same 200 people that are watching your videos? Or are you thinking them as different 200 people? And I was like, I didn't think about it that way. And she said, well, they're probably different 200 people.
Oh, yeah.
Because at any given time in the day, you have millions of people's eyeballs on their phones or, you know, whatever they're scrolling on. And these are different people seeing your content. So the more you post, the more exposure you're really getting.
Yeah.
And if you really think about it in the perspective of if you have 200 people actually walking into your boutique and, you know, and seeing what you have, that's a lot of people in a day to get exposed to your boutique. Right. So think of it as like actual people that had a touch point with you. Don't focus on the likes.
Yeah.
Don't focus on the comments. Focus on the exposure you're getting and the impressions you're making.
I saw something yesterday on TikTok where someone was saying, I post 7 times a day on TikTok. And she was like, this is why I do it. And I do it because, like you just said, she was like, it's not the same group of people every single time. And she said, since I have been consistently posting multiple times a day, she said, it has grown my business tremendously. And I'm like, well, see, you can never post too much. We don't have to feel guilty anymore about posting a lot. Or maybe that's just me. I don't know.
It's so true. And look, like this kind of goes into my next one is no boutique in the history of boutiques has ever succeeded without selling. Right? And here's the kicker. In your boutique, you as the owner need to be the best salesperson. Why is this important? Because you may want to, especially if you're a shy person or you're an introvert and you really have this itch to go live, but you think that let me just go outsource it. Let me just hire a local college girl to just start showing products. That may get you to see the video online, but no one will actually you won't create a following off someone that's just doing it a few hours a week. It doesn't work that way. They want to see the owner of the business. And more now, if you look at any up and coming brand, there's a notable owner or CEO attached to the face of the brand. And that's what works. So these boutiques that are blowing up, they know the boutique owner. And often you see the boutique owner has more followers than the boutique itself because they know that they connect with the boutique owner.
Yep.
And so it's so important that you as the owner of the boutique are just dialed in on your sales approach. Like you really, really have to be, you just have to put that hat on whenever that camera starts. I think my last little bit is to focus on your community. This is a community that you're building. When you start going live, it starts with one person, then another, and just think of it as like, it just starts to tree branch out, right? So you build from this, you know, trunk of a tree, these branches start to come out and then mini branches come out. And They start sharing about who you are as a person, why they like shopping with you, and they bring other people into this community, and you just continue showing up, and you connect with your super fans, and you make new super fans, and that's just it. But it takes consistent work, and no community has been built overnight.
Nope.
Right? It has to be regular work. And here's the beautiful thing about community is that you may focus your community on, let's say, a plus size community, right? Some may focus on their style, like chic style, like, you know, really high end basics and things like that. And then you see some communities that are all about like sharing biblical inspirational verses, right? Like we have one boutique owner who middle of her life, she'll start quoting scripture, right? Because she knows that that's what's on her mind and that's what she's going to share. And then people comment back saying, "Oh my God, I love that." And they get inspired. They just feel better once the live is, once they are watching your live. And then you see some lives, there's just like total, like, it's like MTV, like reality show. Like it is insane, like the kinds of things people do on live. So, but each one has their own community. America's a very, very big place.
It is. I think we forget that sometimes. I think we forget how huge and how many people are actually shopping. I mean, it is absolutely insane. And to go back on community, one thing that I love when I'm watching a live seller is relatability. I love a relatable woman. I love to relate to the person I'm buying from. And I love watching some of these live sellers and their community that they built. And it's almost, like I said, it's kind of like a friendship with their customers. And they're so relatable and they're so honest about their life. And if they're going through a struggle or anything like that, they speak about it sometimes. And their customers love that because they can relate with them. And it's beautiful.
So true. Well, y'all, hope you guys got some good nuggets from this episode. These were the lessons from top live sellers in the country. We're going to be doing a few of these a month, and we're really excited to be sharing all the things we're learning along the way. So please like our Instagram because we're promoting now, right? We talked about this. Go or follow our Instagram, like our Facebook, and then definitely please join our VIP group. That's where all the magic is happening. You get all the sneak peeks. You get all the insight on what's to come in the future from Southern Grace. Thank you guys for joining us on this journey. Stay fabulous, guys.
We'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.
Behind Brand Lines.